I lost my dad when I was 4 months old.
I was one of the few passengers that survived a deadly Boko Haram attack.
J'ai perdu mon mari et mon fils aux attentats du Casablanca.
Perdí a mi padre en los atentados del 11 de marzo en Madrid.
I'm working as security guard. I lost my left eye.
As I was approaching the finish line area, there was the second explosion, and it was directly to my left side.
My beautiful 21-year-old daughter was in London and walked out into a terror attack.
My wife was working with the United Nations World Food Programme in Islamabad.
We were at the end of our meal. A young boy jumped in and saying Allahu Akbar and shot at the forehead of one foreigner who was sitting just close to our table. And I was trying to protect my wife, my sister-in-law, and her daughter. So I was actually like this. I was trying to cover them. So it was why I asked him if they want to shoot, he could shoot me. And he did so. When I realized that I can move, I heard the voice of my son. Who said, Dad, I was shot.
Australian terrorist police came to our house and said, we have a body, still not confirmed. They recommended that we fly to London.
She had to be buried quick because there were about 52 pellets in her body.
You don't really know what to do.
My dad was the breadwinner. My mom was jobless at the time. With a 4-month-old baby at 21, you really don't have much to fall back on.
I can't describe how devastating as a parent to lose a child in these circumstances is for the rest of your life.
We all have coping mechanisms for things in life which are bad. You have an accident, you know how to cope with it. Terminal illness, you know how to cope with it. But there is no coping mechanism for a person who dies in an act of terror.
Mi padre era un hombre bondadoso, generoso, muy trabajador.
Sarah was very responsible, capable, vibrant, full of life.
He was a nicely dressed man because even when he passed on that day, he had a suit on. Every time I wear a suit, I always remember my dad.
COVID-19 affected many victims of terrorism, the occasional lockdowns, restriction of movement.
Normally I would go to London and visit the steps where she was killed at Borough Markets, but we weren't allowed to travel.
Le début du Covid, je n'ai jamais eu l'occasion d'aller sur les tombes de mon mari et de mon fils.
COVID, it's going to unearth our past hurts and wounds.
It make me remind this incident and make me so weak.
Because we don't know the date it's going to end, people have really struggled with that a lot. And having too much time, then your mind wanders.
Sometimes you feel like a little bit guilty.
A mi padre le recuerdo todos los días y no me ha hecho falta el confinamiento para acordarme más, porque ya lo hacía. Desgraciadamente sí que ha habido víctimas que se han sentido muy solas. Es importante recoger a esas personas y explicarles que aunque estemos pasando por una pandemia tan grave, se puede superar, porque hemos pasado por cosas peores.
The long-term impacts of surviving any kind of an attack is that the traumatic experience affects you, doesn't really ever go away.
We have a common bond. We can relate to each other, empower each other. We don't judge each other because of color, because of ethnic backgrounds.
No es bueno hacer divisiones porque precisamente es lo que los terroristas busca que nos dividamos como sociedad y nos enfrentemos unos a otros.
Everyone wants to keep the spirit of their loved one alive. You can never, ever forget them for one day.
Pour moi, je ne les oublierai jamais. Ils sont là avec moi tout le temps.
When you're growing, it really doesn't have a heavy impact on you, but as life starts to unfold, mostly I'll find myself asking, if I do this and my dad was around, would he be proud of it?
I don't want to give up. Terrorists make my life go back. I have to go forward for my life.
International Day shows how to support the victims of terrorism and to provide them a forum to speak out.
It's like a moment to reflect about the situation of victims and to really empathize with them.
They unite the victims. That's very significant for the victims.
C'est une façon de lutter contre la radicalisation qui aboutit au terrorisme.
It shows that they're not forgotten. It would give them a big relief.